when they get the reports, it's probably the first thing that they are going to read. And so you need to make sure that when you write the aimless objectives, it is very, very clear, it's concise, it has good use of vocabulary, good use of language, the punctuation is perfect, and there are certainly no spelling mistakes in there. Now, as an example, we have 3 texts here, and the aim should just be a short, sweet sentence which explains exactly what you're going to do. So for this student, he explained very, in one sentence, exactly what this project was going to do. So to develop a reliable cell system where the expression of SUN2 can be modulated, providing cells ready for any following assays. Now, that could be reworded slightly better. The use of language in the latter part of the sentence wasn't as good as, for example, for this student's aims and objectives. So if you look at her aims, she's written quite a wordy paragraph of aims, and that's because her initial sentence is justifying the aim. So she's kind of briefing the context there, and you are welcome to incorporate a bit of context, but you don't want to go too far, which is what this student has done. This student has written half a page of context. It doesn't really need to do that. So going back to this example, when you look at the aims, it's in the latter part of the paragraph. The aim of the project is to examine the effect of oxygen tension on the production of cellular ROS in goat MSCs. Now that is a very clear, bold statement which tells the reader what the project is going to do. And that's all you need to write in your aims. The objectives could be written in a bullet-pointed format, or it could be a series of statements which explains very clearly how you're going to achieve those aims. So for this example, the student decided to write separate paragraphs for the objectives. So he's explaining in this particular paragraph they were using MEF cells, using a cell line, and they were trying to transduce the cells using a lentiviral vector system. And that's essentially the first objective. The second objective was then to look at the expression of a particular protein, because this protein could be used to select for reprogramming of the cells. That's the second objective. However, for some reason he decided to explain, and I know why he's done this, he decided to incorporate a section here where he had found problems with trying to establish a population of cells which express this particular protein, and as a consequence of that they decided to use a different cell type. And really he didn't need to explain that in his objectives. I mean that's something that should be incorporated later on for the discussion section of the project report rather than in your objectives. So really in the objectives you just want a series of statements which explain how you're going to achieve those aims. So if we go back to this student's project, aims and objectives, her objectives are very, very clear. She's saying exactly what she's going to do. So she's taking these MSCs and she's going to culture them in different oxygen environments and look at ROS production. And in her second objective, she's then going to see how the oxygen environment affects the generation of ROS. That's fantastic. That's all you need to say. You just need to clear aims and objectives. The third student, if I just have a look here, the aims, well, if you get to about the 6th or 7th line, we can see that the aim of the project is to improve blah blah blah, and he then writes, so he gives a description of the objectives, and that's to develop a sample holder for the terahertz system and to incorporate some electronics within the system. Now those aims and objectives, which take around four or five lines, are lost within this very descriptive section. So you don't you want to ensure that when you're writing your aims and objectives, it's there, it's easy for the reader to see and understand.